Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday. Ooh, we got a... All right. I'm Chris Parente. I'm glad you're all here. For those in-house and for those watching on YouTube and Facebook, welcome one and all. This, as you know, is a very sacred and auspicious day. This we gather on the eve of the beginning of the start of PSL. That, of course, is Pumpkin Spice Latte. That's right, that's right. Tomorrow begins Pumpkin Spice Latte season. Come on now. The last day of August. So we can enjoy it together here the last day before, you know, fall will come at us like a hurricane. Want to remind you we have a lot of prayer going on in this hour, and we'll have some afterward as well in Darwin's Den. If you need some extra one-on-one prayer, we've got it for you. Our membership's growing. If you'd like to come here every Sunday and be more fully involved in Althea, talk to any one of us. We'll get you hooked up with who you need to talk to. How about these flowers? Aren't they gorgeous? Bouquets on 11th and Bannock. They do a wonderful job. I want to remind you, if you'd like to get involved in all the flower and gardening outside, see one of us. There's always room for you there. And if you'd like to be involved as a board member, there's room for you there as well. There's stuff going on all the time here at Althea. And want to remind you too, our website, our Facebook page, our program is a great way to learn about all the programs that are going on here at Althea. It's not just on Sunday, folks. It's truly 24/7. Now, we have the wonderful flowers here. We also have some flowers down in front. Don't want to embarrass anybody, but is anybody here for the very first time? Go ahead and raise your hand. Stand up. Do the hokey pokey. All right, go ahead. Raise your hand high. Any first timers? Any first timers? Back there in the corner. Wonderful. We welcome you to Althea, and we're glad you took a risk to come here and try something new. We know that takes courage. So that flower is just our way of thanking you. And we hope you'll be open to coming back, and afterwards, maybe come over there to the community hall and socialize. And if you have any questions, ask us. We're glad you're here. And now as we begin to settle into our seats and settle into our sacred space, we'll have Kristen join us here in the front of the house as we settle into our spirit space with our opening prayer.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Please allow the chair that you're sitting in to completely support you without you giving it any instruction. Just like spirit, the chair knows its job. It's there to help you, lovingly comforting you, and allowing you to join me in noticing all the parts of your life where spirit supports you. There is great peace in recognizing how perfect love energy is showing up in your life in so many ways that you've never before noticed. I anchor us in this space knowing that all is oneness, all is spirit. Regardless of the name that you give love energy, it connects us. It connects us in our hearts, in our thoughts, in our physical bodies, in our dream state, soothing, supporting, and loving us just as we are, right here, right now, so that we can shine in our wholeness and our perfection. This is just one example of what we believe here at Althea, that we are truly all one. And this oneness is the light that each and every one of us will bring out into the world this week. I affirm on your behalf that you are gently and lovingly reminded of how you show up, how you respond, and how you shine your light. I know this truth for each of us, and I know as our online viewers increase and more of our neighbors come to join us on Sundays, that they come understanding that they are here to heal. And we are here to support them on their path, no matter what that looks like. I give deep gratitude and grace and thanks to Reverend Chris for being here this morning, for Chris Parente for being our MC, for all the volunteers that show up in support of our beautiful building, of this sacred place. And it is with peace that I let these words go out into that greater law where everything is first created in our thoughts before it outpictures in our reality. And so it is. It's me again. I would just ask you now to stand if you're able, if it's comfortable, and join me in reciting our Althea statement of being. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect light, perfect love, and perfect substance. We are individualized expressions of God, and we are ever one with this perfect light, perfect love, and perfect substance. You can remain standing and join our beautiful musicians in face of God.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. We are a family. You are the face of God.
Hello. I'm doing your readings today. There are two of them. The first two short ones are from an author and academic named Dean Radin, who apparently was a scientist who was very interested in psychic phenomenon, and you can look him up if you like. He spent like 30 years working on that. The first quote from him is, "The universe looks less like a big machine than a big thought." The second one is, "Prayer is not an old woman's idle amusement." I agree with that. "Properly understood and applied, it is the most potent instrument of action." And the second reading is from Ernest Holmes, who was one of the founders of the religious science, another of our new thought institutions. "Prayer in its truest sense is not a petition, not a supplication, not a wail of despair. It is rather an alignment, a unifying process which takes place in the mind and the heart as it reaches to its divine self and to that power which is greater than human understanding. In the act of such prayerful and reverent communion with God, one senses the unity of good, the completeness of life, and the veil of doubt is lifted and the face of reality appears. This consciousness, which has been referred to as the secret place of the Most High, is an experience rising out of the conviction that God is all there is, beside whom there is none else. Ernest Holmes. And the founder of this place, Nona Brooks, used to say, the whole of divine science is the practice of the presence of God. Same message. Thanks.
Of course, I always like to say some of the best prayer is music, honestly. And it's always a joy to have different musicians here every weekend. It's some familiar faces back again this Sunday. Let's make some noise and welcome back Chelsea Grace and Trent Hines.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it, want to change the world, there's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with your imagination. Living here, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. Simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Want to change the world, there's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with your imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
Outstanding. I'm so glad you picked that song. And by the way, free everlasting gobstoppers to one and all for that. Or if you want a Wonka bar, you can have that as well. And you know, my favorite quote from Wonka is, "It must be believed to be seen." He always flips the words. It must be believed to be seen. And isn't that the truth? Now, as you noticed, Reverend Christine is off today. Much deserved R&R. So we have, as we do from time to time, and I love this because we get some different perspectives here in Althea, which we always welcome. We have a guest speaker today, and it is Reverend Chris Lahiff, who's a licensed minister with the Centers for Spiritual Living, most recently served down there in Cape Coral, Florida. Pretty cool down there. He's passionate about spiritual growth, community connection, and he's living his mantra, we are all one, love is all that matters. And on top of all of that, I'm sorry, guy has the best mustache since Tom Selleck. All right, make some noise for him here. Reverend Chris today.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. Oh, what a wonderful place. I can't believe I'm on this stage where so many wonderful voices have been. Wow, it kind of, when you think about Ernest Holmes and Nona Brooks, it's pretty powerful. Okay, all that, I digress. I want to see, if you're comfortable, a show of hands of who would like to live in a world that is kind to more people? Okay, all right, I like that. Well, the good news is, if you have that feeling and that desire, that means it already exists somewhere, in some place, in some level of mind. And what's kind of even, well, what I want to lead us to in that idea, that already exists, is that the world that I live in, the world that I experience, is different than the world that you experience. There's no two people in this room, no two people in the world who experience the same world. There may be some similarities and some overlap, but none of it is the same for each individual, because we all come from our own backgrounds, our own history, our own experiences, traumas, joys, and celebrations. And all of those things contribute to what we hold in mind, which shapes everything in the world that comes to us. Everything that we've been through, every thought that we hold influences how we experience the world. And so I want to talk a little bit about how malleable that actual world is, your actual world. So while there's 8 billion people on this planet, there are 8 billion different realities that we are all simultaneously experiencing together, but from our own unique perspective. And then to get really far out there, of each of those 8 billion realities are another infinite amount of realities. So right now, I could jump off this stage and go running and screaming out the door, and that would create one future timeline. Now, I'd like to come back here and speak in the future. So I'm not going to choose that timeline. I'm going to choose the timeline where I stay up here and I speak a little more and hopefully, make you think a little bit or help you think a little bit. So this is a different timeline. But in that decision, in any given microsecond, there's an infinite amount of choices that I can make, things that I can do. And each one of those would create a different world. So here's where it gets even kind of a little further along. I really like Dean Radin from the reading, because I get him, and I think he would get me where I'm coming from. All of those infinite realities, as soon as it is thought in mind, it exists. Maybe just in the intangible, but it exists. And so this is the idea of the multiverse. Infinite realities. And it's something that, I hear scientists say we can't really grasp the idea of infinity, that it's just too big. But I think we can get close. I've seen models of what people describe as the multiverse, and it'll show here's a universe, here's a universe, here's a universe. But if that's infinite, for me, that's everything. And then if that's infinite for 8 billion people, how can it all fit side by side? So the multiverse, it all exists everywhere and nowhere at once. It's all in mind. Everything that exists. So I want to give kind of maybe another little analogy of that. Have you ever had a dream? You're in the dream and it is so real. And it's scary maybe. I have a lot of dreams where I'm like trying to hold on because I'm going to fall from something. And it's so real. And then you wake up. You're like, oh, thank God, I'm okay. It was just a dream. Well, one thing that inspires me, or one thing that I really am interested in, is I love hearing people tell their story, people who had a near-death experience, an NDE as they call it. There's so many commonalities from people that have had the experience of being physically dead, clinically dead, but then for some reason was able to be pulled back to life. But they come back often, more often than not, with some story about what they saw on what we would call the other side. And one commonality that I hear frequently is the idea that when I was there, I realized that was so much more real than this. This becomes the dream. And so everything is literally just a figment of our imagination. Wonderful song that was absolutely perfect for today. Because it is all just our imagination. And as soon as we learn this and really take it into heart, we can make drastic shifts in our life and drastic shifts in the world that we see out there. Because to me, it certainly feels like we're experiencing two different realities. If we want to talk about political division, I don't want to make anybody right or wrong today, but I feel like it doesn't matter where you stand on that. You might be seeing things in the world that aren't ideal for you. It really doesn't matter what your political leanings are. There's something that you don't like that you would like to see different. But when we start to open up and shift our own inner lives, we start to shift it out there. One thing that we talk a lot about is in spiritual circles, where I come from, in centers for spiritual living, is that there's this great shift in consciousness that is upon us. That it's not anything new. It's just the timeline of evolution. And we're evolving from a place in our primitive times, our first earliest human times, when survival was the name of the game. So that saber-toothed tiger that we were always on the lookout for, our minds learned to be fearful of that, to always be vigilant and to not be so trusting, not to let your guard down. And the people that held that belief are the ones that survived to pass on their genes. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of years of evolution of that idea that I've got to protect me. And so what I see as this shift in consciousness is we're moving from that place, realizing that saber-toothed tiger doesn't exist anymore. There's other things that we can be concerned about, but as we've evolved in more complex thinking processes, we can use rationality as a way to realize we don't have to fear as much as we used to. We don't have to other people as much as we used to. We can learn and move away from competition to get what's mine, to make sure I survive, to realize we have enough, and I want to move towards cooperation to make sure that we all have enough, because we have it. Mother Nature doesn't mess around. It provides us with everything we could possibly ever need. We've just created human ways of saying what's mine and how to protect it and make sure that I survive. But in the shift in consciousness that I am 100% convinced is speeding up, that is ready to blossom into a world of pure imagination, where everybody just absolutely feels and knows their absolute best. So, life, everything that we experience is dependent on the story that we tell ourselves. I was trying to think earlier when I was sitting here, about 4 times in my life where I've remembered that my perception and the story that I tell myself is the reality that I'm experiencing. And on 4 different occasions, through just a shift in my thinking, literally, like faster than overnight, my reality drastically changed. And to me, that's powerful. Yeah. And so part of our thinking, one thing that really, while I enjoy learning about people that have had near-death experiences, I love the metaphysical teachings, and I know that there is that magic. There is something bigger and indescribable. I do believe superhuman, things that we would call superhuman or miracles happen all the time. But I like finding pragmatic reasons of why it happens. I've always been a dreamer, but I like to have something for the skeptics, because they're always there, and that's good because that makes us really cement and defend what we believe and feel. So one thing that, to back up this idea that our thoughts are creating our reality, I like to talk about, it's called the reticular activating system. Has anybody heard of that? I'm guessing, yep, okay. A couple people. The RAS, I won't go too deep into it, but I'll try to explain it succinctly. The idea is that there's 10 million bits of data, at least, any given second, that's coming into our mind. All the things we see, we hear, we smell, all of those things are coming in and our mind can't possibly process all of it. So the RAS is a mechanism in thought that filters what it presents to us. It's our subconscious mind. And the best example that I hear, so I repeat it all the time, I don't know who came up with it, is the idea that when you get a car that's new to you, so all of a sudden, like for me, it's a 2015 Mazda 3 with a stick shift. But before we acquired that vehicle, I wasn't even really aware that that was a vehicle. But as soon as we did, everywhere now that I'm driving, and I'll see that Mazda logo coming at me up the street, I now notice them like everywhere. So that's how the RAS works, is it determines what we tell it is important, and when it sees different things that we believe are important, it pulls it out and shows it to us and reminds us. So, in creating a world that works for everyone, in creating a new way of being, if you believe that idea that you would like to live in that kind world, and you lean into the idea that it's possible, we can see that in our lifetime, a world that treats more and more people with more kindness, fairness, and support. You're creating that reality in your mind, and then what happens is your RAS will begin to notice things in the world. It'll notice little kind acts. It'll bring you inspiration from time to time, where you'll be out in the world and be given an opportunity to be kind. It'll say, do you really believe it? Do you really believe it could be more kind? Here's your chance, prove it. And so that's when we take our thoughts and we make it physical reality, even though, as I just described that multiverse, there is no physical reality. Albert Einstein, told us that the universe is an illusion, albeit a very, very persistent one. And it is. And that's, I have some other, New Thought teachers that I've talked to that they don't like the idea of calling everything an illusion. Like that's blasphemy. It doesn't work. It's not an illusion. It's real. How can you say it? I'm not saying it's any less real. I'm just saying where it exists, and it exists in mind. It's in the ethers. And we are able to make drastic shifts a lot more quickly than we thought we could. Overnight changes of my life where I went from the darkest, most miserable spot where, when they say, well, it's not the end of the world, I felt like it was for me and what was going on in my life. I hated my job at different points, hated my job, no loved one to spend time with, no prospect to get out of the situation, to realizing that's all the story that I'm telling myself. And literally, in a split second, my life has changed drastically. So what I want to talk about is how then do we start to program that subconscious mind to let our RAS know what is important to us. Because until we do, we're kind of just on a random default. Everything that comes at us, we may have that belief like, I know that the perfect job for me right now is there. I know there's going to be enough to support my family. It's going to be enough to travel, maybe save some money. But if I'm not aware of my thinking, I might say that and do my affirmations like a good spiritual student that I am. And then I put down the book and I walk out and I'm like, yeah, but it's not going to happen to me because, I should have stayed in school longer. I should have learned something else. So we're constantly contradicting what we would like to see and experience. So if we want to do those creations, there's many spiritual tools. I love vision boards. I love affirmations, writing them on a Post-it, placing them around so you repeat your affirmation in your mind. I'm living in a world that's becoming more and more kind each and every day. And I repeat that, and I repeat that. But now what the early New Thought teachers, Ernest Holmes, Nona Brooks, most of the teachers that I study would all say that the most powerful and potent form of manifestation and creation, mental creation, is prayer. And so we teach a thing called affirmative prayer. So I'm going to go through it. You don't have to worry about the words that I use. I just want you to really take it in and get into that feeling and the experience. So Ernest Holmes, when he studied creating the philosophy as religious science or the science of mind, he looked at all world faiths that he had access to, ancient philosophies, indigenous cultures, and he picked out the things that were congruent, that were found in all of those different belief systems, and he composed them. He did the same thing with prayer, and he noticed prayer seems to be most effective when they contain these elements. And so, quickly, just to organize it, the elements are, we call them recognition, unification, realization, gratitude, and release. But I'm going to go through them one at a time. So the first step that he calls unification, it doesn't matter what you call it, is just this idea that we are one, that there is only one thing. So as I described those 8 billion times infinity realities, if you could step outside of that and point at all of it, I don't think you can argue that there's only one. There's only one group of everything that is. And the key to effective prayer, in addition to using these elements, is in the feeling. So in that first step, what we want to do is create a sense of awe. How do you do that for yourself? Have you experienced, I love hiking in the mountains or getting off of a ski lift and looking out over the valley and the other peaks. That inspires awe for me. I can think about infinity and all the possibilities in any given moment. And if I just let myself kind of feel into it, I can really open up to this idea that there is something so much bigger than all of us, which then leads us to step 2, which is to realize if that's all that exists, you are that. Your mind is the same mind that thinks everything. So those first 2 steps, Ernest Holmes said, if you could just live in those 2 stages, you would be attracting, manifesting, doing everything you could ever dream of, because you would know no other reality. Which I think that's maybe where the great masters, like Buddha or Jesus the Christ, I think that's where a lot of these teachers dwelled. Now, of course, that doesn't mean life is suddenly, everything is rainbows and butterflies, because this is such a perfect thinking system that we live in. That idea that the universe is more a thought than a machine that Dean Radin expressed. Everything that we experience is just right there for us. And so if we could dwell in that state of knowing that there's that one big thing and that we are that, we become very powerful beings. So then the third step, what we call realization, is just being in alignment, knowing that I am that infinite mind. So what I know up here will reflect back to me. And it'll do it as quickly as I'm able to fully embody it. So the words that we use in a prayer, that's not where the power lies. The words that we use in the prayer creates the feeling within us. And it's the feeling that's where the power is. It's an emanation that comes from the very core of our being, and it vibrates out and it attracts to us the steps that we need to take, the right people that we co-create with. And so the key is in those first steps is really getting into that feeling. And then the realization step is where you state and you know and you visualize what it is that you are manifesting. And if you're having doubts, you can use that time to cast doubts out. But you just create images that make that feeling for you. Okay, I wasn't going to tell a story, but now I think I am. This was one of the most profound shifts for me. And it was in early March 2020, and I'm driving to work. And I'm having this realization that we talk a lot in spiritual circles about we're creating, a new world. We're creating this shift. And I've felt it, and I've had lots of other ministers and practitioners and other people say, yeah, man, we're creating a shift in our experience, a shift in human consciousness. But it's not going to happen in our lifetime, but we're moving there. I realized on that drive, as I'm doing some spiritual mind treatment on my way there to prep me for the night, and then ideas come up, and I start thinking about the future, and I'm like, wait a minute. Do I believe that we are creating a shift in consciousness? And I realized there was a part of me that was always putting it off. Like, yeah, but it's going to take decades. Well, it's been going on for centuries. We can't stop it. But as soon as I made that realization, I wasn't believing. I have to start believing. It was a switch. And it was in March 2020. I was working in a steakhouse downtown Orlando, Florida. And I went in. That was the last shift I ever worked in a restaurant, because 2 days later, everything shut down for the pandemic. And as soon as it did, so many things started popping up, maybe this is the thing that we need. Maybe this is what's going to cause us to determine, all people are essential workers. Everybody out there. It was a great opportunity to sit and reflect. So I used to make the joke, yeah, that was me. I'm sorry I caused that lockdown, because it was tough. But that's how my world, the experience that I call my world, shifted immediately when I had that realization. And it was, as far as driving and being in prayer, it's a trick. But I was still able to have this visualization that was just amazing. What does that world look like? And I saw in my mind's eye soldiers putting down weapons and picking up baskets of food, and people with smiles. People with smiles receiving the gifts and sharing with their neighbor, and all these images of just people standing around holding hands and recognizing yeah, I knew we were bigger than this. I knew there was something even better, and we're stepping into it. The visualization and the feeling and the imagination is our keys to creating that world that works for everyone. So recognizing that there's one massive, infinite thing, infinite potential, recognizing that we are it, and then holding true to the vision of whatever it is that you're going to manifest, whether it's the parking spot outside or whether it's world peace, all of it. Allowing your imagination to feel it, sense it as much as you can. And then one thing that Ernest Holmes, brought to really seal the deal is the idea of gratitude. We all know gratitude, or I assume we all know, I shouldn't make assumptions, but we all know, I say that anyway. We all know that gratitude is a powerful practice, a gratitude journal. When we every day take time to reflect on things that we appreciate, we shift our being and we start to notice more things that we appreciate. And that's powerful. And in the sense of affirmative prayer, when we really feel gratitude for that thing, that image that we created in the realization step, when we feel gratitude for it as if it's already done, that's telling the universe it's here, and I believe it and I accept it. And then the last part is simply, we call it release. It's just letting go. And whenever we have thoughts of doubt that rise up, we bring our mind back to that holding true. Things don't always show up in the ways that we think that they will, and sometimes that can throw us off. But reminding ourselves that we cannot trick the universe. It knows what we want. It knows what we believe and what we hold to be true. And so we can lie to ourselves about what we might be visualizing. We can lie to others about what we are trying to do in the world. But we can never lie to our highest self or to the universe. And so our aim, if we believe we can create a world that works for everyone, we have to be that. We have to believe it, and we have to share it just by being. I'm not saying like proselytize. I'm saying when you create that vibration and hold it, you will see your world shift, and you'll see people around you that are attracted to it, and it lifts us all up. It's one person at a time. So that shift in consciousness, I can't experience it in the world that only I live in until I know it and feel it within. And when I do, I get glimpses until I get pulled back into the other part of my world that's challenging and frustrating. But that's my work, just like in meditation. I bring myself back every time I catch myself doom scrolling, angry typing. Like, no, that's not who I want to be. How can I be the best version of myself to create that world? So with that, let's go through a quick experience to close up of what we call affirmative prayer. So I just invite you to get comfortable however you like. And just let go of the day. Let go of fears. Let go of overthinking. The universe is a simple mechanism, but never easy. And that's part of the design, because we are chosen and encouraged to grow and learn through every hardship that we face. So I begin by recognizing that there is vast, infinite spaces within my mind. When I draw my attention there, I can see and sense and feel the infinite nature, the infinite possibilities. Anything that I can imagine, poof, there it is. It exists in mind now. And everything that creates life, that one universal consciousness that is the life force itself, that it is the same force that beats my heart. It is the same force that takes the acorn and grows it into the oak. The same force that orbits the planets, the stars, the galaxies. It's all that exists. And when I bring myself into that state of awareness of the vastness of which we are a part of, I smile at the possibilities of creation, recognizing that I am that. The same mind that creates as easily as holding a dream is creating all of the realities for each and every one of us. That what I know in mind is known in the mind of everybody else in my world. What is known in the mind of each individual is felt and created in the mind of their world. And all of it is one, with one driving impulse of greater expansion, expression, and experience. So I know that right now, everyone hearing these words has that within them, that infinite creative power that is ready to shift drastically and beneficially in each and every individual's lives, creating ripples outward that enable one another to share, to live from a place of heart space, knowing that as we lift one up, we lift everyone up, because there is only one thing, and we are that. So I affirm and avow that love with a capital L flows through each and every individual hearing these words, and that shift in consciousness, a new way of being, a movement from me to we, is already done in the mind of spirit, and it's now unfolding in our collective experience now, in our individual worlds, and it is glorious to behold. And with that, I say thank you for it, because it is absolutely beautiful. And I am so grateful for every experience, because I know it all points us back to that from which we are, from which we come and from which we never left, and yet we'll still return. So with that, thank you. I just simply release these words knowing that it's already done in the mind of God, and we can join together in a joyous celebration by affirming it, saying, and so it is. So it is. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care if they call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of a one I see. A million dreams, it's all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build, every room inside is filled with things from far away. Special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. See, I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. We may be right, we may be wrong, but I want to bring you along to the world I see, to the world we close our eyes to see, we close our eyes to see. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. For the world we're gonna make. For the world we're gonna make.
Thanks again to Ms. Grace and Mr. Hines. Fantastic work. Great Greatest Showman, right? Is that The Greatest Showman? Beautiful. I love that song. Now, of course, this is the time we remind ourselves that, the lights require a different kind of energy, a little monetary energy. And we do appreciate everybody who gets that energy flowing. And if we can put the little blessing, the prayer up on the screen, it's one of my favorites. I think it's powerful. So we say pass the basket. Before we pass the basket, let's say it all together. And it doesn't just apply to this right now. It really applies to everything, I think, in life. The universe provides all that I need and all that I give. With great joy, I share my prosperity, planting seeds for a world I am helping manifest. And so it is. Amen. And a reminder, I don't think the kids today even know what cash is. So if you don't have cash, no worries. We also have a QR code. We have a website. You can do recurring giving. All that's available there online, and we'd love to have you do that as well. I want to thank Reverend Chris again. That was wonderful. Wasn't that great? It's just a coincidence. I have taped on my bathroom mirror Dr. Wayne, his famous quote, "When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change." And it was beautifully said to say. So thank you for your message. Thank you. And I don't know, can we get you to do one more for us? Can we sing along? Is this a community song?
Yeah, we're doing Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Oh, we all know the words.
Yeah,
So if
I
you
think y'all
want
know
to
the words
rise
to
up
that,
and
right?
join, and maybe we can make this our reality, right?
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, brothers all are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment with peace
Please join and repeat after me. I am whole, perfect, powerful, and complete. Love it. I know that this world brings to me everything that I have within. So I expand what I believe is possible. And I see that world manifest before our eyes. So it is.